Hello, my dear students. How are you all? I wish you all a very happy new year. I hope this new year brings you a treasure trove of new opportunities and enriching experiences. Wishing you a year full of inspiring discoveries, new friends, and wonderful accomplishments. May you continue to excel in your studies and achieve your dreams. And to achieve your dreams, you have to watch videos, you have to study. So please subscribe my channel Educational Corner and watch the videos. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for subscribing my channel and the love you all have given me the previous year. Please continue to give me the same love this year also. Kindly support my channel and watch my videos. So today we are going to start with lesson number 10, that is living creatures exploring their characteristics. So in this lesson we are going to learn about living creatures and non-living creatures. Living creatures include plant, animals and human beings, and non-living creatures, when you are sitting in a room, for example fan, then watch, then the almirah, television, all these are non-living things. So we are going to explore about their characteristics or their features, and we will also learn about the difference between living creatures and non-living creatures. This lesson is from our science NCERT book Curiosity. So let's get started with it. Chapter 10 from our Science Curiosity book, Class 6th. Lesson 10 is Living Creatures Exploring Their Characteristics. Avdi and Ayush go for a morning walk with their parents. Avdi notices some shells and tries to pick them up. Her mother advises her not to do so and explains that the shell could be home to a living snail and is actually a part of its body. Avdi and Ayush wonder how the shell that is not even moving could have a living being inside. Later that day in school, Avdi and Ayush share this incident with their friends. They approach their teacher to understand how a shell which is not even moving could be a body part of a living snail. The teacher initiates a discussion in the class on living and non-living. So as you can see in the picture that Avdi and Ayush, they go for a morning walk with their parents. You can see the picture over here. So Avdi ne kya notice kiya? There were some shells on the floor, on the ground, and she tries to pick them up. और mother ने क्या advice किया? Not to pick them up. Why? Because she explains that it could be a home. ये एक living snail का जो है वो home हो सकता है. Snail यहाँ पे देखो एक picture बनी हुई है snail की, या ये सर्कल सा जो बना हुआ है, दिस इज अ पिक्चर ऑफ अ स्नेल. तो हो सकता है कि किसी लिविंग स्नेल का ये होम हो. तो अवधि और आयुष ये सोचने लगते हैं कि एक शेल जो मूव भी नहीं कर रहा वो कैसे किसी लिविंग बीइंग का जो है वो होम हो सकता है, और कैसे इसके अंदर एक लिविंग बीइंग जो है वो हो सकता है. लेटर व्हेन दे वेंट बैक टू स्कूल द अदर डे, दे शेयर्ड दिस इंसिडेंट with their friends and they approached their teacher to understand कि how can a shell which is not even moving, जो एक मूव भी नहीं कर रहा है ऐसा शेल, वो कैसे किसी की बॉडी का पार्ट, किसी भी लिविंग स्नेल का होम हो सकता है. तो टीचर ने जो है वो क्लास में एक डिस्कशन लिया एंड शी एक्सप्लेन्ड अबाउट दी लिविंग एंड नॉन लिविंग थिंग्स. Activity 10.1, let us record. We are surrounded by numerous things. Just look around in your classroom and you may find many examples: the pencil that you are holding, the book that you are reading, or the pigeon near the window. So when you know that you are surrounded by numerous things, बहुत सारी चीज़ों से आप लोग जो है आपके आसपास बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं. Okay, when you are sitting in your room at home, that time also you can see television, then wall clock, then some kind of scenery, fan, board, then side table, side clock. So many things are there in your room. As well as when you are sitting in the classroom, you see many things like chalk box, then duster, then pencil, you are holding, pen you are writing with, book you are reading, pigeon near the window. So what we have to do in this activity, list them in table 10.1 and identify each of them as living or non-living on the basis of your understanding in column 2. So आपने living and non-living things जो हैं, जो भी आप देखते हो अपने क्लासरूम में या अपने रूम में, आपको उनके बारे में जो है इसमें लिखना है और आपके बेसिस पे उनको आइडेंटिफाई करना है कि वो लिविंग है या नॉन लिविंग है. एंड राइट अ रीजन फॉर ग्रुपिंग देम एज लिविंग और नॉन लिविंग इन कॉलम 3. कॉलम 3 में आपने क्या करना है, रीजन भी लिखना है कि आपने क्यों इनको लिविंग या नॉन लिविंग बताया. So let's come to the table. Here you have to write. ठीक है. So some things are given over here like pencil दिया हुआ है यहाँ पर, तो pencil का यहाँ दिया है non living. Now reason, first thing reason you have to write. It does not grow and breathe. Okay, I have given two reasons कि pencil ना तो grow होती है ना ही breathe कर सकती है. ठीक है. Correct answer, it is non living. ठीक है. Reason और remark for the correct answer. अब क्या reason है? It does not show features of living thing. इसके अंदर कोई फीचर नहीं है living thing का. That is why इसको हमने non living में डाला है. Now next is book. Book again is non living thing. Again we can give the same reason, does not grow and breathe, and the correct answer will be non living. And the same reason is there, that does not show features of any living thing. Then next we have pigeon. Pigeon is a living thing. Move. Pigeon can move, reproduce and even grow. So it is a living thing, and the reason is it shows the features of living thing. Then car. Car, you know, it is a non-living thing. Then it does not grow or breathe. I have given two reasons over here. The correct answer is non-living thing. And reason is again the same, do not show the feature of living thing. Plant is a living thing. Reason, it grow and reproduce also, that is why. So it is a living thing and it show the feature of living thing. Then any other may I have taken fan. Okay, you can take any other thing also, whatever you like. It can be living or non-living, it is up to you. The fan is non-living because it does not grow and breathe. It is non-living and it does not show the features of living thing. So this way you have to fill this table. How? By writing living things and non-living things which you see in your surrounding. Let's come to the next page. What sets the living apart from the non-living? Now what is the criteria? किस वजह से हम living और non-living को अलग-अलग मानते हैं? Look at table 10.1. Why do you think a pencil is non-living but a pigeon is living? What do you think are the difference between living things and non-living things according to you? What similarities do the identified living beings share with each other? So as you have seen in the table, pigeon is living but pencil is non-living. Now there are some differences which are there in living and the non-living things. Okay, so we have to identify कि इसमें क्या differences हैं. Living beings, they generally grow and they reproduce, they move from one place to another, but non-living things generally do not possess all these features. Okay, so you may have identified movement as one of the similarities among living beings. You have also seen cars moving on road. Does it mean that car is a living? No. List the tasks that you can do but a car cannot. So what you can do and car cannot do? You can grow but car cannot grow, right? So in this way you can reproduce but car cannot reproduce. You can write but car cannot write. So all these are the tasks which you can do but a car cannot do. So you have to write it. You are a wonderful example of living being. Whenever you attempt to group things around you as living or non-living, you can compare them with yourself. Which characteristic help you in differentiating yourself from a car? अब कौन से ऐसे characteristics हैं या features हैं जो आपको कार से अलग बनाते हैं? For instance, a car does not grow. ये मैंने आपको बताया, कार grow नहीं कर सकती but आप grow कर सकते हो. Does it mean it is non-living? Now, which characteristic have you used to classify a car as non-living? Non-living, कार एक non-living है. क्यों? क्योंकि कार grow नहीं कर सकती, कार अपने आप लिख नहीं सकती, कार अपने आप मूव नहीं कर सकती, राइट? Continue our discussion in a similar way to identify the essential characteristic of living beings. What are some common characteristics that make living being very different from non-living things? Let us learn about them. So now let us learn how the living things are different from non-living things. Can we consider movement as one of the characteristics to differentiate between living and non-living? क्या हम कंसिडर कर सकते हैं मूवमेंट को कि एक लिविंग बीइंग जो है वो मूव करता है और नॉन लिविंग डज नॉट मूव? क्या हम इसे कंसिडर कर सकते हैं एज वन ऑफ द इम्पॉर्टेंट फीचर टू डिफरेंशिएट बिटवीन लिविंग एंड नॉन लिविंग? लिस्ट 5 थिंग्स अराउंड यू दैट कैन मूव ऑन देयर ओन. ऐसी 5 थिंग्स जो अपने आप मूव करती हैं. डू यू थिंक that all 5 things you have listed can be considered as living just because they can move on their own? क्या ऐसी चीजें जो अपने आप मूव कर सकती हैं हम उन्हें living बोल सकते हैं? However, unlike animals, plants do not move from one place to another. Do you consider them as living? ठीक है. Animals they move, plants cannot move, but plants को हम फिर भी living में मानते हैं. क्यों? Even though plants do not move from one place to another, they do show some certain types of movement. Okay? वो एक प्लेस से दूसरी प्लेस में मूव नहीं करते, but they show certain different types of movements which are important to be a living thing. Opening of flower is one of the example of movement of plant. Okay? When a flower opens, okay, when a flower opens, then at that time what happens? They are showing some kind of movement. Another example of movement in plant is seen in insectivorous plant. Insectivorous plant are dependent on insect for their nutrition. Drosera is one of the example of insectivore. तो insectivorous plant जो होते हैं वो कौन से होते हैं? जिसके ऊपर अगर insect आके बैठ जाए तो they close their leaf. Okay? तो insectivorous plants are dependent on insect. तो Drosera is one of the insectivorous plant and it is featured with saucer shaped leaves. इसकी जो leaves हैं वो कैसी हैं? saucer shape में. Having many hair like projection of unequal length with sticky ends. End जो है इसके ये sticky हैं, तो कोई insect जो है वो आके इस पे चिपक जाता है. Whenever an insect enters a saucer, hairs move inward and trap the insect with their sticky ends. इसके जो चिप है, जो sticky ends हैं, जब भी कोई insect इसके ऊपर बैठता है, enter करता है इसके saucer पे, क्योंकि इसकी लीव्स जो हैं वो ऐसी हैं, तो उसके ऊपर क्या कर रहे हैं? हेयर जो है वो इनवर्ड की तरफ, अंदर की तरफ मूव करते हैं, इंसेक्ट को ट्रैप कर लेते हैं, पकड़ लेते हैं स्टिकी एंड से. Try to observe the mechanism of movement in the other insectivorous plants. Climber also wind themselves around any object placed close to them. That means even though plants do not move from one place to another, they do show some movement. So plants move नहीं करते हैं one place से another place पर, but they show some kind of movement. Compare yourself with the picture of your childhood. Okay, so now you have to compare yourself with your picture of childhood. Can you wear the dress that you used to wear 4 years ago? क्या आप वो ड्रेस पहन सकते हो जो आपने आज से 4 साल पहले पहनी थी? No, because you have become larger in size. This is due to growth in your body. Plants and other living beings also grow. Can we consider growth as characteristic of human beings? So, living beings जो होते हैं वो grow करते हैं, ठीक है? Because they grow, this is the one of the important characteristic. Growth is important characteristic of living beings. Living beings need food. They also need food nutrition for their growth and development. List 5 living beings that require food and food to grow. तो ऐसे 5 living beings आपने लिखना है जिनको food चाहिए grow करने के लिए. एक तो human beings ही हो गए, animals हो गए, right? So ऐसे 5 living beings आपने लिखने हैं. Now think of a process which we cannot live. A process without which we cannot live. Count the number of breaths you take per minute after a normal walk, after a run, and after a few dance steps. Record the data and observe. Do you notice any difference in the number of breaths after each situation? तो आपने क्या करना है? आपने अपनी ब्रेथ को काउंट करना है, अपनी सांसों को काउंट करना है पर मिनट के हिसाब से, जब हम एक नॉर्मल वॉक चल रहे हैं या फिर उसके बाद आपने काउंट करना है जब हम रन करके आ रहे हैं, और थर्ड टाइम जब हमने कोई डांस स्टेप्स करे, ठीक है। तो देयर इज अ डिफरेंस इन breath. Do you notice the process of breathing in other animals like dog, cats, and cows, buffaloes? Notice the movement of their abdomen while they are taking rest. So, when these, you have to notice the process of breathing in some of the animals like dog, cat, buffaloes, and you have to also notice their movement when they are taking rest, when they are moving from one place to another, and while they are taking rest, you have to notice the breathing. In the process of breathing, when we inhale, the air moves from outside to inside our body. जब हम breathe करते हैं तब क्या होता है, हम inhale करते हैं, अंदर की तरफ air लेते हैं, और air जो है वो outside से from outside to inside our body. When we breathe out, जब हम breathe out मतलब सांस बाहर निकालते हैं, air moves फ्रॉम इनसाइड आर बॉडी टू आउटसाइड, तो हमारी अंदर से जो एयर है वो क्या होती है, बाहर आ जाती है. Breathing is part of a process called respiration. So this is called respiration. ये जो breathing की process है इसे हम क्या बोलते हैं, respiration. Breathing out and breathing in means inhaling and exhaling. Do plants also respire? There are tiny pores called stomata on the surface of leaf. तो जो leaves होती हैं इनके ऊपर क्या होते हैं, tiny tiny pores होते हैं, छोटे छोटे pores होते हैं जिन्हें हम stomata बोलते हैं. These pores help plants in taking air in and out. So यही pores help करते हैं plants को air को in और out करने में. Interact with senior class students in your school and request if they can demonstrate stomata using a microscope in your class. All living beings respire. So all the living things, they respire means they are involved in the process of breathing, that is respiration. Have you noticed white patches forming on shirts around the armpits during summers? So summer के टाइम पे जब हम धूप से आते हैं या वैसे भी जब हमें स्वेटिंग होती है उस टाइम पर आप देखो आपके आर्म पिट्स, व्हाइट शर्ट अगर आप पहनते हो तो आर्म पिट्स के पास आपके जो है वो कुछ पैचेस नजर आते हैं. दीज पैचेस आर फॉर्म ड्यू टू स्वेट. ये क्यों होते हैं, बिकॉज ऑफ स्वेट. स्वेट मतलब पसीना. द Sweat consists of water and salt removed by the body as waste product. तो हमारी बॉडी जो है ना वो उसमें स्वेट जो निकलता है, पसीना जो निकलता है उसमें वाटर और सॉल्ट जो है वो मिक्स होता है. रिमूवल ऑफ वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट्स फ्रॉम द बॉडी इज कॉल्ड एक्सक्रीशन. इसे हम बोलते हैं एक्सक्रीशन. जो हमारी बॉडी से वेस्ट निकल जाता है इन फॉर्म ऑफ ये स्वेट, इट इज कॉल्ड एक्सक्रीशन. यूरिन इज ऑल्सो फॉर्म्ड एज अ प्रोडक्ट ऑफ एक्सक्रीशन इन एनिमल्स. तो यूरिन भी जो है वो हमारे में एक क्या फॉर्म है, वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट एक्सक्रीशन का फॉर्म है. दिस इज एक्सक्रीटरी पार्ट ऑफ आवर बॉडी. डू यू नो दैट प्लांट्स ऑल्सो एक्सक्रीट. प्लांट्स भी एक्सक्रीट करते हैं. यू मे नोटिस प्लांट्स एक्सक्रीट एक्सेस वाटर एंड मिनरल इन फॉर्म ऑफ स्मॉल ड्रॉपलेट्स ऑन लीफ. लीफ के ऊपर जो स्मॉल ड्रॉपलेट्स होते हैं वाटर के, उसे हम बोलते हैं, उनका वो क्या है, वो एक्सेस वाटर निकल जाता है एंड दे एक्सक्रीट इन दिस फॉर्म. ओके, फॉर एग्जाम्पल ग्रासेस एंड रोजेस, ऑल लिविंग बीन्स एक्सक्रीट. अब सारे लिविंग बीन्स जो है एक्सक्रीट भी करते हैं, एक्सक्रीशन भी होता है, एक्सक्रीशन का प्रोसेस भी होता है और रेस्पिरेशन का प्रोसेस भी होता है, राइट. सो दीज आर इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग्स. दे रिक्वायर फूड ऑल्सो, दे ग्रो ऑल्सो. ये सारे कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं लिविंग बींग्स के कि इनकी ग्रोथ भी होती है और दे रिक्वायर फूड ऑल्सो, देन दे रिस्पायर ऑल्सो एंड दे एक्सक्रीट ऑल्सो. लेट अस लुक एट अनदर कैरेक्टरिस्टिक. व्हाट इज योर रिएक्शन इफ यू अनएक्सपेक्टेडली स्टेप ऑन अ शार्प ऑब्जेक्ट सच एज थॉर्न. अब आपने एकदम से किसी कांटे पर या फिर शार्प ऑब्जेक्ट पे पैर रख दिया तो आपका रिएक्शन क्या होगा. While walking without shoes or you accidentally touch a hot cup of tea. ठीक है, जब एक स्मॉल बेबी भी होता है ना, उसको भी ये पता होता है अगर वो हॉट को टच कर लेगा तो वो एकदम से हाथ हटा लेगा. ठीक है, तो when we accidentally touch a hot cup of tea, तो हमारा रिएक्शन कैसा होता है, अचानक से हमें कैसे हम रिस्पॉन्ड करते हैं. Stepping on a thorn or and touching a hot object are stimuli. We call it as stimuli. Anything or any event that prompts living beings to respond is called stimulus. तो स्टिमुलस हम किसे बोलते हैं? ऐसी कोई चीज एकदम से जो अचानक से हम प्रॉम्प्ट करते हैं, रिस्पॉन्ड करते हैं, उसको हम बोलते हैं स्टिमुलस. लिस्ट थ्री स्टिमुली, प्लूरल ऑफ स्टिमुलस, एंड योर बॉडीज इंस्टेंट रिस्पॉन्ड टू देम. ठीक है. डू प्लांट्स ऑल्सो रिस्पॉन्ड टू स्टिमुली? क्या प्लांट्स भी इसको रिस्पॉन्स देते हैं? यस, प्लांट्स ऑल्सो रिस्पॉन्ड टू स्टिमुली. फॉर एग्जाम्पल टच मी नॉट. टच मी नॉट प्लांट, देखो ये पिक्चर बनी हुई है यहाँ पे, मिमोसा और छुई मुई. दिस प्लांट्स फोल्ड देयर लीव्स व्हेन वी टच देम. इनको जब हम टच करते हैं ना, छुई मुई प्लांट को, टच मी नॉट को, इसका नाम ही टच मी नॉट है, जब हम इनको टच करते हैं तो इनकी लीव्स फोल्ड हो जाती है. हैव यू also observe that certain plants fold their leaves after sunset? कई plants जो है वो sunset के बाद जो है वो क्या करते हैं, अपनी leaves को fold कर लेते हैं. Specifically, the leaves of certain plants facing each other tend to come together. This can be observed in sleeping leaves of आंवला, Indian gooseberry tree. इंडियन गूसबेरी ट्री कौन सा है? आंवला. आंवला को हम गूसबेरी भी बोलते हैं. ठीक है. तो इसकी जो लीव्स है ना, जब एक आसपास आती है, फेस करती है एक दूसरे को, तो वो क्या करती हैं, वो दे टेंड टू कम टुगेदर एंड दे कम टुगेदर. दीज लीव्स कम टुगेदर. ओके. एंड it is of gooseberry tree, that is amla. All living beings respond to stimuli. Find a few more plants in your neighborhood which fold their leaves after sunset. So you have to find the names. जो सनसेट के बाद ऐसे कौन से प्लांट्स हैं जो सनसेट के बाद जिनकी लीव्स फोल्ड हो जाती हैं एंड दे रिस्पॉन्ड टू स्टिमुली. So this is the another important feature of the living beings, that they respond to stimuli. Why do the leaves of Chui Mui and Avla plant respond in this way? Which stimulus could be responsible for their behavior? Have you seen young ones of cat, dogs or other animals? List young ones of 5 different animals. Have you seen young ones of any non-living things such as pencil, chair or an electric bulb? No. Living beings जो हैं, they reproduce also. Reproduce मतलब अपना same kind, अपना जैसे ही दूसरा काइंड जो है वो सेम काइंड जो है वो जो है वो रिप्रोड्यूस करते हैं. ये प्रोसेस को हम बोलते हैं रिप्रोडक्शन. जैसे यंग वंस कैट के, किटन डॉग के, पपी, तो ये और बाकी एनिमल्स के सबके यंग वंस होते हैं. बट वी हैव नॉट सीन यंग वंस ऑफ लिविंग नॉन लिविंग थिंग्स लाइक पेंसिल, चेयर एंड इलेक्ट्रिक बल्ब. All living beings reproduce. Reproduction is the process of producing new ones of one's own kind. Why is reproduction necessary? It is necessary for continuity of life. ताकि हमारी life जो है वो continuation में रहे. That is why reproduction is necessary. So all living beings, they reproduce. Reproduction means producing new one of one's own kind. When a living being is not able to exhibit all of the above mentioned characteristics, despite the availability of all the resources like food, air, and water needed for being alive, it is said to be dead. अगर कोई भी living being ऐसा है जो ये सारे characteristics जिसमें नहीं है, ओके, डिस्पाइट उसके फूड, एयर, वाटर अवेलेबल है, उसके अलावा, it is called as dead. From the above discussion, we can understand that all living beings share some common characteristic. For example, all living beings show movement. Movement show करते हैं. They need food and they grow. They also respire, मतलब they show the process of respiration. They reproduce. They show the process of reproduction. Then excrete, respond to stimuli, and eventually die. Absence of any of these features indicate that they are non-living things. अगर ये features नहीं हैं, ठीक है, it means they are non-living. Now that you know how to identify a living being, fill up the remaining 2 columns 4 and 5 of table 10.1 and complete the activity. So this though already we have done, we have filled. In which category would you place seed, living or non-living, and why? Obviously, seed is it living or non-living? We have to find it out. Let us explore how a seed germinates to observe some of these essential characteristics in plants. So the germination of seed we'll be doing in our next part of the lesson. So today we will do till here. I hope you have understood till here that we have learned about the characteristics, features of living beings in this part, and we'll continue part 2 with the further explanation of this chapter. If you have not subscribed my channel, please do so and like my videos. Thank you to all, and I'll see you in my next video, that is part 2 of this lesson. See you all guys. Bye.